What was the most shocking thing you heard the quiet kid say? In class, he asked the woman teacher if he could go to the toilet. She sternly replied, "You've got 2 minutes, Richard." And Richard says, "2 minutes? It takes me that long to unravel it." Teacher goes red and everyone loses it. We were having a bullshit elective course, and we ran out of stuff to do, so we wound up having story time. My friend walks up to the front and starts telling us about how he once got pretty badly injured. Basically, he was walking into his friend's house, slipped on some black ice, face planted on it, and his front teeth tore off most of his front lip and broke off. He ran into the house babbling and bleeding. He was like 11 and was missing part of his face, so he wasn't 100% coherent at the time. And his friend's mom took one look, ran into her bedroom, locks the door, and doesn't do anything until my friend's dad arrives and starts screaming at her. My friend says he still has no idea why the grown adult woman couldn't handle the situation any better, and we all start making guesses and bullshit psychoanalysis. Cue the quiet kid raising his magnificent head and blessing us with enlightenment. Maybe she just needed to finger herself real quick. So this one kid, who barely ever said 2 words one day, asks the teacher for the time. It was at some after-school thing, and there was no clock. The teacher says the classic time for you to get a watch, which for some reason was funny to everyone else. The quiet kid doesn't laugh. He looks the teacher dead in the eyes, and once everyone quieted down, he says, "So, are you gonna tell me the fucking time, or what?" We were in like 7th grade. In class, we were studying genetics, and one guy was being a real douche, and the teacher couldn't get him to shut up. Then, after discussing inbreeding in dogs, one quiet kid raises his hand and says, "So is this likely how Peter, douche, became so fucking retarded?" I was best friends with the quiet kid in middle school. It wasn't so much shocking as the stupidest thing I've heard him say. He got this 1,000-yard stare all of a sudden and just said, "I can't remember what color my dog is." In high school, there was this really quiet girl named Grace. She was a pleasant person, but wouldn't say anything more than hi or sorry unless you asked her something. Even then, she'd appear terrified. It was at prom, and I was in the parking lot of the venue we had prom at. I lost a contact and had to run to my car to grab my glasses. In the parking lot, Grace was smiling and walking from her car. She looked at me, laughed, and said Ryan, her prom date, just fingered the fuck out of me. I still laugh about it to this day. I was in marching band in high school, probably 7 years ago now, and we had this huge muscular guy as our brass instructor. He would always yell at us to nail these chords, or you're not playing loud enough. There was this little Asian trumpet kid who was so innocent and nice, he barely ever spoke a word. One really hot afternoon, our instructor was being especially loud and said, "Why don't the trumpets blow hard enough?" Dead silence across the field as all the brass are waiting for next instructions. Then we hear, "Why doesn't your mom blow this dick hard enough?" from the quiet trumpet kid. Needless to say, we all laughed, got push-ups, and laughed some more. In high school, I had first-level Spanish with this kid who was super quiet. At the end of the year, we all had to give a speech in Spanish in front of the entire class. This motherfucker stood up and gave a speech, not in Spanish, but in a language that he had spent the entire year inventing. Our quiet kid was Tommy. Tommy never said anything ever. Out of all the lunches we ate at our table senior year, I think Tommy was the only one who never told a story or even added anything to the conversation. He just always sat in the same spot along the wall, eating his lunch and laughing occasionally at our jokes. One day, we were sitting in the cafeteria, eating lunch and sharing stories like we always do. My friend Raymond had spent the previous night with a girl named Haley. She was 2 years younger, but already had a reputation of hooking up with a lot of different guys. So, he was telling us everything that went down, kind of bragging, even though nobody was really impressed as we were aware of Haley's reputation. Anyways, Raymond gets done telling his story, then proceeds to pull out his sandwich. I think it was some sort of fish. It didn't look very appealing to Raymond or us, so he says this looks disgusting, but I'll give it a try anyways, and proceeds to take a bite. In pipes Tommy, "Is that what you said about Haley last night?" Everyone explodes into laughter, drawing the attention of the entire cafeteria. Raymond is just sitting there, mid-bite, stunned. I'm bent over in pain from laughing. Others are on the floor. One guy ran to the bathroom because he thought he was going to puke from laughing. Even Ray had to laugh. I never noticed him laugh, but Tommy had this sly grin on his face the rest of the lunch hour. A group of dude bros in my high school were talking about sexy women in class, and for fun, they asked the quiet kid what kind of girls he liked. He says very seriously, dogs. Dude bros. Haha, you're kidding, quiet kid. No. I'm sexually attracted to dogs. He never spoke again. As a couple of girls from a few school years beneath us walked into the room, the lads behind us were discussing which one they'd like to fuck. My mate turned round and questioned how they could find children attractive. Neither had an answer, but the quiet, almost silent lad in the back corner weighed in with "There's nothing like fresh meat." I was the quiet kid. There was this kid in high school who was trying to bully me at lunch, and for context, he was a 21-year-old junior. He kept getting left back every year, for reasons unknown. Him, why don't you get out of our country? Me, why don't you get out of high school? He couldn't think of any response, turned red, and the kids around the table started dying with laughter. I won that day. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video and subscribe for more.